And that's why I have this, like, feeling that nothing is working. Um, with me.
Not fully.
Yeah, I know.
My mind was wandering into some of my own inner conflicts.
Mm,
Something you said. My mind trailed off on it.
mm.
And I was picturing something that's bothering me.
What's bothering you?
I was picturing a relationship that has so much potential, but this point in time I've disengaged from because when I finally confronted this person in a messy way, person basically completely and totally backed off. And it's just sad. It's sad when people can't tolerate any messy feedback. And people immediately interpret somebody being upset with them as like, oh, like this person doesn't like me. This person hates me. This person doesn't want a relationship with me. If they wanted a relationship with me, they would just like let all the things fly or they wouldn't get upset. They would approach it in like a very polished, like non messy way. It's like so disappointing when finally do confront somebody and then it's like it pops the facade of the supposed relationship. Like, really? That little poke just popped the whole bubble? Like,
Mhm.
that was the relationship? Like,
Mm,
the relationship can't tolerate any of my hurt, any of my pain, any of my messiness? Like, okay, wow. That's so sad. That's so unfortunate. Like, I actually like this person and respect this person and think we could have a wonderful relationship. And I'm not even so angry with them. There are some resentments, yes. And the thing that they did bothered me. And the truth is, the thing that they did, even though, yes, it bothered me in itself, the intensity of my reaction to what I was bothered by was really predicated on the deeper hurt and resentment that I'm carrying in the longer term in this relationship. And so, yeah, like I understand that it could be confusing to the person. It's like, whoa, like where did this come from? But first of all, I think that person's soul knows. They just don't really want to look at it. They want to ignore it. They're just not willing to do their own work and do their own self reflection. And and yeah, like there's legit confusion to it. It's like that seems so intense. Like that seems so out of the blue. And it's like, no, it's been bothering me actually always. I just never like felt annoyed by it enough or um my my willingness to engage or to take that disrespect has is no longer. I'm not willing any longer to take that disrespect. And so yeah, it came out in like a snappy way. But I didn't insult you. I didn't curse you out. I didn't disparage you. I didn't shame you or blame you. It was like, don't do this. Like this, the way that you're interacting with me is disrespectful to me and to my time. And you always do this. Like basically every single time you interact with me, there's some trace of this dynamic there and it doesn't feel good. I don't like it. Don't do it. It's like instead of being like, whoa, that felt overwhelming to my system. I'm a little bit confused, right? This person, instead of like them being like, holy shit, clearly Saudi was bothered. And yeah, I'm getting defensive because like he's pointing out something that I might not want to look at, but like but I love him and I care about him and I want to be in a relationship with him. So I'm going to take a look at it either on my own or I'm going to get curious and be like, Saadya, like you had a very intense reaction and I know there's something to it. I just don't really understand it. It seemed like maybe there was something more there. It seems like maybe, um, or even if it is that, like, can you help me to understand it better? Or I've thought about it and you know what? I realized that I wouldn't want anyone to do that to me. Like I would never entertain call after call with a person who was not giving me their full presence and their undivided attention. Like just to call me to then just be distracted, right? Do like literally what happened was just for some context, like this person calls me and then I pick up the phone. I'm like excited to see this person's name on my phone. I'm like busy and I prioritize picking up their calls, like or whatever it is. I'm with other people. And it's like I pick up and then his like voice is like trailing off. It's like, hey. I'm like, hey, how are you? You know, or like just hey, you know, just and it's like there's like a 1, 2, 3 second delay, and it's so clear that this person is distracted on his computer or whatever the fuck else he's doing, working. Like, hello, like you called me. You called me to you called me to get my attention. You have my attention. And now I don't have yours. What the fuck is that? Like it's to me, it's so disrespectful. And this person would do it all the time. All of the time. Just like kind of meanders, like voice would like trail off. And it was so clear. It's like, are you with me? And it's like, oh no, like you know, it's like multitasking. And I told this person, I was like, I would much rather you never call me. Or like what I said was like, I would much rather we speak once a year, even if it's for 5 minutes, but it's 5 minutes of actual presence and connection and actual intimacy. Then you call me every single week to check in on me. And it's this false intimacy. It's like, we called, we spoke, I checked in on you, but you're not actually with me. I have no interest in in going through the motions and of something as if as though.
Right.
S- So it bothered me, and I brought it up, and it's like what's what I was thinking about just now, where my mind trailed to is just like wow, like and I mean I've thought about it in different ways, and I have some parts here that are angry and resentful. It's like really. Like you're that afraid, like your inner system is that fragile that one time you get a little bit of negative feedback, one time, one time, some criticism, some feedback, like, I had a human experience, and I was, like, snapped at you, like, don't like, are if you're with me, you're with me. If you're not with me, you're not. Like, don't call me to have my attention and focus. I stopped what I was doing to pick up the phone to talk to you for you to then not be there. Don't do that. And for that to be that much of an assault on, like, a person's inner experience and inner world, that's like, "Okay, fine. I'm never gonna call this guy again. I'm never really gonna check in. I'm never gonna or I'm not even gonna say, 'You know what? Whoa, that was, like, an anomaly in our relationship. Clearly something really bothered him. Maybe there's something to this. Like, let me get curious. Let me follow up and be like, I know you snapped at me and it definitely didn't feel good. Um, but I want to understand what was it about that that's so deeply triggering for you? What about that is so deeply hurtful? And then through that, literally that alone, we could become 10 times closer. And obviously either the person could hear me out and be like, oh my God, wow, this guy's such standards. Like he needs presence when I talk to him, forget it. That's not a level that
Mhm.
I'm willing to commit
Not
to. Like,
aligned for me.
it's not a line for me. I don't call people and then like call people into presence, and then when they turn around, they're there and they give me their presence. I'm gone. I've disappeared. I don't. That's not a level that I'm willing to commit to. So I can't be in a relationship with a guy who's that quote unquote sensitive, right? That
Mhm.
attuned. Oh wow, like all this healing that he's done has made him into like this extra sensitive person who can't just tolerate like a normal conversation. Whatever story you have to tell yourself, fine. But here, you didn't even have curiosity. What is it that you really know and understand what's going on? And you're like, okay, I just can't do it. It's like, but the deeper thing that hurts here is like, what was our relationship all along then? And that's exactly what I was sensing and feeling. The disrespect was actually his level of relationship to the relationship. The way he was relating to the relationship is this isn't that important to me. I'm just going through the motions. I want to be perceived as something in a certain way. I want to play a role, or I don't want to lose the position of the role that I've been playing until now. So I'm going to maintain the connection. I'm going to maintain the relationship. I'm going to maintain it for what it's always been, which is basically hollow. Because anytime it comes to a moment of truth, anytime it comes to a moment of pain, if you disappear, then what the fuck was the entire thing the entire time? What was the entire thing? A woman's in a relationship with a man. They're in a dance. He lavishes her with gifts and takes her on vacations and compliments her and makes sure she climaxes first. And right, but the second she shows a little bit of pain, the second she's like human
Upset about
and messy
anything.
and upset about anything, he like, whoa, checks out. Like, this is what I
Pulls away.
deserve.
Yeah.
I'm here for you all the time. I give you gifts.
Mhm.
I prioritize your sexual pleasure. I do everything for you.
Always
And
thinking of you.
I'm always
Mhm.
thinking of you and always looking after
And you
you.
have a
And
complaint?
you have a complaint? Yeah, exactly. What? Like, no, that you don't get to do that here. So what happens with that woman? You think that woman is still turned on by the man? You think she wants his gifts? You think she wants his praise? You think she wants him to please her sexually? She loses
Mhm.
total interest because it's showing the truth of the relationship, which is that you're not in a relationship with me. You're in relationship with a sanitized version of me, with basically with the me, the biggest me that your ego could tolerate. The moment that I'm actually in my full self, in my messiness, in my not knowing, in my human process, your whole system shuts down. So what was this the whole time? It wasn't what you say it is. It's not what you think it is. So it
And
hurts.
and additionally, the man is also could be going to his friends or therapist or whoever and be like, "I'm such a good boyfriend, fiance, husband, whoever this is. I mean, look what I do for her." Right? Like they don't even understand or see, partially because they don't want to see what's going on. They're like they're attached to their story of like, I'm the good guy. I'm the one giving to you. What do you even do for me? Like, and so you're gonna complain that I'm not, you know, providing or I'm hurting you. Like, how could I possibly be hurting you? Look what I give to you. Where would you be without me? You know, like whatever the story is. And in fact, I would, go as far as to say that he knows what he's doing, meaning not consciously, but specifically because he doesn't want to touch any of the emotional stuff, and his system knows that, he'll override with all of the other things and the giving. It's a contract that a subconscious contract that he sort of has. Is basically saying like, I'm going to give you in all these ways, and you're not going to complain about X, Y, and Z.
Right.
It's the protective thing of, I know I can't, not I know I can't, because obviously everyone can, but I'm scared of this deeper emotional stuff. I'm scared of pain. I'm scared of my pain. So I'm terrified of your pain. So I'm just going to show up as the protector, provider in all the practical senses in every other way but the pain. And hopefully that will be enough. Hopefully that will be enough for you and for me. And I can live happily ever after, avoiding this whole genre of a relationship. And yeah, and that reminds me of our situation. Not that you were like, providing all these things, but you were like priding yourself on being a good husband, and considering me and thoughtful and all of the things, most of the things you mentioned. And I would come to you with a complaint. It was like you just couldn't understand what was happening. You just couldn't, you were like, how could you be upset with me? How could you possibly be upset with me? Like, I consider you before me, so how could you possibly be upset with me? And then I was like, "Well, I can't breathe here." Like, I just like, "Oh, so just because you think of me and provide for me and sexually please me and you're considerate means that I could never, ever have any pain in the relationship? Like, I can never tell you basically you're a saint, you could never do wrong, so I could never, ever, ever tell you that you did anything wrong?" I mean, it's so beautiful how you connected it to the original story you were saying, but it's like, yeah, it's like, well, then what do we then we don't have anything. Then what do we have? This fragile, like, glass ball. It's, like, shiny and sparkly and, like, one little thing, it just shatters. Like, how is that a relationship? You know? And, like, obviously, when you do healing work and relationship work and all that stuff, and if you've experienced a real relationship, either with, you know, a spouse or even a friend or a parent or whoever or a coworker, really anyone, anyone you interact with, where there's space for each person's feelings and messiness and conflict. And then you experience the like euphoria of conflict resolution, which is something that no amount of gifts or thinking of someone or anything could compare to, because the closeness and the safety and the comfort that you feel to know, wow, I can bring someone my pain and we could talk about it. And it doesn't mean that I'm always right, but there's space to explore it. There's space for it to like just be, there's solid ground for it to stand on. We can look at it. It can exist. Like that is the ultimate. Like I'll live in a hut with eating rice and beans and, have very minimal things with this than in the most glorious glass mansion with this kind of unspoken contract of we don't bring any real feelings or real complaints here. It's very similar to actually what I came in here feeling of like this urgency of things need to be done. Like I need to be on top of my shit. Like I need to be, or like I have these values, right? And relating to myself, I have a value of like being a good mom, being a good spouse, or having a good marriage, being there for myself, a value of being part of the community, or whatever my values are. And I'm constantly juggling, like checking off all the boxes. And sometimes we can get into such a space of like, w- there's so much that's important to us that we're just rushing through to like not let anything drop. And therefore, each thing is just getting a little tiny bit of our attention. Each thing is just getting a tiny bit of this. And I know people do it in their relationship, right? A wife is like, all right, I can't let our sex life go to the wayside. So we're doing it, right? I'm checking off the box, but it's not actually like this expansive or big part of the relationship. It's just getting done. And I need to call my mom every Friday. So I get that done. And I need to do this. And I'm the type of person who, goes to shul every day. I'm not actually davening and in my body and experiencing. I mean, I don't mean they're actually davening, but I'm saying I'm not actually in the energy of prayer in the way that it's spoken about and the way that it should be, like the way that we're supposed to be besimcha and in our body. Like I'm not actually doing that. I'm just checking it off. And then I'm checking off this. And I have dinner with my family, but I'm not even there because I just do it and I do it, and I call this person, I do that. And I mean, we all have that on some level where it's like, are you willing to do certain, like let things actually not get done for a little and come back to it or come to it with presence, whether that's in any area of your life, right? Not spend every dinner with your family, but spend twice a week dinner with your family where you're fully present, or not spend every day time with, whatever it is, where there's something that's soothing your anxiety and your nervous system of like being able to go to sleep at night and say, like, I did all the things I needed to do, but you're in the deeper sense, you're not actually feeling good about it. You're not actually feeling filled. And neither are any of the people you're doing those things with. Neither is Hashem with your prayer. Neither is your kids if neither is your spouse. And even though people want that, people, whether it's a man with his wife, a wife will be like, you're not spending enough time with me, or I want this and I want that. Or, a husband will want his sex life to be more frequent. At the end of the day, what we all truly, truly want is presence and connection, even if that means less frequently. And even if it means that like it feels scary because you don't know. You can't just be like, yes, every single night we're locked in and we know that, or my husband never leaves town because we're, just that like sort of always there energy, but never fully there. And I remember like just for me, that was a really big part of my healing. And it's something that psychedelics for sure showed me. Anytime I do it, it just like zooms out and it's like, wow, like do it less and do it fully, whatever that thing is, that thing that you're just like, you're doing 50 things on your to-do list, but none of them are really having your presence. Like do less and just be with what is, even if it's only once a month that you do that thing. We're rushing past things or we're multitasking. And so when someone comes with us with like a bigger thing or a feeling, it's like there's no time for it. Obviously, it's not just about time. It's strategically that way because we don't really want to face it, but it's also managed in a way where it's like, I don't have time for this. I've got like so much to do. I don't have time for these like my wife's big feelings. Like I don't have time for it. I think that we're all busier and busier and doing so much, and the speed in which we can accomplish things and the times we're living in where there's like so much opportunity and so much you can do in a day. And yet we're all, or most of us are really, really struggling with the thing we're missing, which is like that presence and connection and intimacy with a fellow human, whoever that may be. And yeah. How did you get there from not being able to feel my pain, I mean, to hear my pain and grievances, to being the expert on the topic?
I think it was the pain of abandonment, of you talking about divorce, and more than just talking about it, eventually saying, "Oh, you gotta go. I can't be here for Shabbos with you. I don't feel safe." And the different steps along the way, eventually you actually filing for divorce, where the pain of the abandonment was so great. Um, and it just flooded my system. So much overwhelm and confusion and debilitation and scrambling that became undeniable that there was something within me that wasn't settled, something within me that wasn't integrated, something within me that wasn't healed. And so from that place of undeniability, I was forced to have to just look at it and I have to start to examine my own history, my own upbringing, my own conditioning, my own experiences and traumas and relational wounding to start to make some sense of why I was at such an absolute loss when you had withdrawn from me, stopped showing interest, stopped what seemed like to me to care. And then a lot of very deep work. But the essence of it is being able to sit with my pain and have radical compassion on all of my parts for how they became my parts, how they got introduced to my system and the roles that they played and the superpowers that they give me and the ways that they've served me so well for so long and the ways that they were no longer serving me. The very things that were born to save my life and in many ways had saved my life were now debilitating me and keeping me trapped and small and scared and stuck and fearful and avoidant. And yeah, once my heart broke open and I settled into my body and started to actually feel my feelings, it was very easy from there to feel yours. The work was not learning how to feel your feelings, how to feel for you.
How to hold space.
Yeah, I didn't need to learn how to quote unquote hold space. I just practiced holding space for myself. And once I had that experience, and once I had that felt sense in my body and the experience of how good it feels to feel held and to feel seen and to feel witnessed and to have radical compassion on myself when you're scared or angry or overwhelmed, parts came up. I was just like, so much compassion. Just, I saw you and the pain that you were in and saw your parts. And it just became pretty natural and organic to hold space for you and your parts. And because my parts were so well held and so well loved, and even I might say so well fucked internally in my own system, I just had such deep intimacy with my own parts there was so much space. So just naturally
Mm,
when you were in my presence, I just had so much space internally to just for you to fill up, to take up, to frolic in, to unravel inside of. So I'm like, okay, there's like a section of my being called space for Mushky that I've allotted. And I'm like, now I'm going to offer Mushky
mm.
space to like, a husband, and a husband holds space. I'm like, I'm going to take my hands,
You know,
I'm
this
going to pick up this
technique.
container. I'm going to put up the container in front of you and be like, okay, now you can enter into the container. No, the container was me.
Mm,
My container expanded and deepened. And so when you were with me, it was just an open, my nervous system was an open invitation for you to what some would call take up space, but I call it fill the space with your being, with your pain, just also
yeah.
your love, literally. Your pain was your love. I was resisting your pain. All the while I was resisting your pain, I was resisting your love. The only reason I was resisting your pain, which was pushing your love away, is because I was resisting my pain, which was pushing my own love and my own self compassion away. Once I did that, everything changed. My whole entire life changed. The whole entire world opened up to me. Literally. Once my heart opened up, my body opened up to me, the entire universe, the entire
Mm,
cosmos opened up to me in the most biblical, psychedelic way that I can imagine is humanly,
mhm.
divinely possible in this world, which is the entirety of all the worlds. This is just all there is.
So beautiful. Yeah. And also like this like understanding that there is no relationship without pain, right? There is no relationship without somebody disappointing the other person or somebody. It's not like you don't strive to be in a marriage where you never hurt the other person. Like that's not the goal. Where you're like, that's the goal if you are scared of pain. But if that's the goal, then anytime somebody comes to you with pain, you feel like you failed because your goal was to be in a good marriage where we don't hurt each other. And so
Mhm.
when someone's hurting you, you're like, well, first of all, like I thought we had a good marriage. I must be failing somehow, or you're failing me, or whatever. And when you understand that, like, if two people are going to be in a relationship, which means two two different people, right? Not two of the same person, not two different people, you entirely different, uniquely different, different tastes, different preferences, different blueprints are going to be merging together and sharing space and children and visions and life together that you're not going to always sometimes someone will say something that doesn't align, someone won't pay as much attention as the other person wants, sometimes won't. And like that is that is what is part of just so beautiful about being two different people together. And the beautiful part is that through the pain, you can get closer. Through the pain, you can apologize. Through the pain, you can learn about each other more and develop like an even stronger bond. But there's no reality where people are in a relationship where they feel safe. And when you feel safe, you let your guard down, which means you're not constantly hyper vigilant of not hurting the other person. You're just being you and you're taking up space, and the spouse, or I'm being me and taking up space, you're being you and taking up space. And then we'll bump into each other because we're so relaxed and we're so comfortable with each other that we're not being so careful not to hurt each other. We're just being mindful of being ourselves and being here. And we know that, like, oh, I'll bump into you and then you'll be like, oh, ouch. And I'll be like, oh, wait, what happened? And we can take that as an opportunity to learn about ourselves, learn about each other, talk, our brain, get deeper, like be closer, be intimate. And I think that when you don't, when you're scared of pain, when you're scared of conflict, right, in any relationship, um, you don't allow for there to even be a relationship, because a relationship is where people are each individuals coming together, where if both those people are scared of conflict, the relationship basically consists of two hyper vigilant people being super careful, basing their actions not on who they are and what they want to do, but what will keep them safe, what will not cause conflict. So to the point where someone might pick up the phone to five different people, and each person they have a different personality because they're basically being what they think the other person might want. This might be subtle, but like to this person, they're jokey, and this person, they just match whatever doesn't create conflict, and they think they're being a nice person. They're like, wow, I'm so considerate. Like, yeah, like this person, like instead of just like taking up full space as they are and letting there be conflict and letting either that conflict bring them so much closer or letting that conflict allow some things to wash away because if that person, like only wants you and you're a completely conflict avoidant state, then like, yeah, that's not going to work. And yeah, people won't want to be friends with you because they only like to be friends with people who never, ever, ever take up any space. When we grow up and we are having our first intimate relationship, which is our relationship with our parents, our mother and our father, and anytime we experience pain, we were shushed, we were told on whatever level or whatever practically they did or said that basically sent us a message like, there's no space for your pain here. This is not how relationships work. Relationships work. I'm the mother, you listen. Relationships work. And that is so like deeply wired into our DNA. Like it's, I don't know if it's wired into DNA, like we are raised. And if you're lucky enough to not be raised like that, that's amazing. But part of also just being in this world and on some level, like, especially if our parents didn't have it given to them, they're gonna by nature, like, not tolerate it in us, or for sure not as fully as a child needs, or most of the time, except for when miracles happen. Um, and so we are like, we could sit here and say, "Oh, yeah, of course, relationships, yeah, and conflict, and you can't even have a relationship without being okay with conflict." But I'm just like, with so much like understanding, grace, and compassion for the fact that we are born taught that a safe relationship or a good relationship is when I don't bring my pain to you, or I'm a good boy, and like it's taught from our parents and good to yingle at, like whatever the nature of it, be a good boy, like that sort of like, you know, messaging that we get, which then we have to undo and unravel and relearn that no, actually, that's not what makes a safe relationship. And there is space for me to be a quote unquote bad boy or bad girl. And even though bad's not the right word, it's just human, for me to be human, for me to be who I am. And um and yeah, well, I think only when we can, and it's a real, real journey. It's a real, real, real relearning or rewiring. I know you say like your brain broke, like it's a real, like total, you know, shift, a complete and total shift from like everything we know and hold to be true in our minds and in our systems and in our bodies of like, this is how to be in a relationship. And it's like, it's so simple and it's so not easy and it requires so much surrender and support and therapy or whatever it is that you're doing. But, and like, I think you really like went all in. Like you just like you resisted it for a very long time, and then when it happened, when you cracked open, like you didn't like crack open in little bits over a year's time. Like you just fully like split the sea. Like you just fully went there, and it's so beautiful, and I'm like jealous. And I still feel like I'm still, like, stepping in, like, slowly, slowly in my relationships and, like, oh, showing a little bit more of myself and getting a little bit more into the conflict, and I have such terror of conflict. And I'm like, why can't things just be just nice? And um and as I continue to do it and as I continue to step into conflict, I'm like, wow, this is where the love is. And every time I experience it, my mind's like blown a little. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where the love is right here through the conflict. Like I was avoiding this thing. And by avoiding the conflict, I was avoiding all of the love. I was avoiding all of the intimacy because after I have a conversation with someone or after someone brings me their pain or a friend brings me their pain, and I'm like, you know, we have a conversation or I reflect and I'm like, wow, like I totally wasn't seeing that. And I thank you for bringing it to me. And like, I feel, first of all, I see myself better and I see where I can work on myself. I see you clearer and I see how I hurt you and I see your inner child and I have so much more love for you. And I have so much respect for you for bringing it to me. Like, I know how hard it is to just bring people your pain instead of just writing them off that, oh, well, they're just a bitch or they're just not a nice person. I'm just like, and then I'm like, wow, like I'm in this like space of love with this person and we're forever closer and forever just feel more whole. And it's like this thing that I was avoiding was blocking all of the true connection and intimacy. And it's really hard, but like every time I see it, I'm just like, wow, like this is what it is. And uh, and I think that's like what you experienced with me, right? You did your own healing and then it was like, oh my God, like this is what all it takes just to like hold a little space, and I know that's what you experience with the men you work with who like really do the work and how like overnight it could just transform a relationship and they just go into their pain.
Yeah. Yeah, baby. We're at 51 minutes.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I don't really have any closing thoughts or additional thoughts, if there's anything on your mind.
Mm. No, I
Oh, yeah.
just like when you close.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking back to what it was that had come up for me, And yeah, it's just, yeah, I think you said it, but kind of the way that it's coming up in my system right now is just like the reason, not that this was a conscious process, but looking back at it, I could say that the reason why I didn't bring up my annoyance or desire, um, I don't know about desire. It's not so much desire, but more my disappointment and my anger for the way that this person was treating me with his phone calls sooner is because same thing we're saying, like he knows that there's something more here and he doesn't want to look at it. There's something more that I didn't want to look at, which is that it's going to reveal the truth of the relationship. I don't want to reveal the truth of the relationship. I would rather, to some degree, I would rather tolerate disrespect, be like something in something fake, but that has a semblance of something at least. It might be fake, but it's something versus being in nothingness. I'd rather be in something with somebody that's fake and inauthentic than pull the curtain on the truth of the relationship. That like, no, we don't have a relationship. No, you don't really respect me. No, you don't really genuinely see me or care about me. Um, because that's really, really hurtful. And maybe deeper with this particular person is that I don't believe that you're actually capable of going to the pain, to addressing the underlying wound and the history that we have. And because of that, and because I love you and I like you and I want to be in a relationship with you, I am going to settle for the frequent phone calls, but no presence because I don't want to blow the curtain or pull the curtain rather on the truth of the relationship, reveal that it's not what you're pretending it is or that I'm playing along that it is. And so I'm going to not say anything. And that's why when I eventually did say something, it came off with such bite. It came off with bite because the truth is I've been wanting to say it in one form or another for a very long time. But each time I'm like, it's a microaggression. Like it's a small thing. Like just like let it go. The guy's calling me. Like be happy that he's checking in on you. Like feels like love. But every single time in my system, there was this yucky feeling that I'm kind of being used. Like you have a desire to like check in on me. Do you have a desire for me
Mhm.
or to check in on me? Is your desire to do that you're doing something, or is your desire to like create space so that I can be in your frequency, like could be in your sphere, in your consciousness, so that you can, I mean, in your visual field, so that you can see me. It starts to just feel like I'm being used for like your project check in. Project check in. I check in with people. I'm a person who checks in with people, and I'm like that person who's going to check in
Mhm.
with this person and look after him. Dude, you're not looking after me. You don't see me. And the level of relationships that I have in my life and the level of depth and presence and it's just presence. It's just like the level of like consciousness, awareness, like like taking things seriously. Like actually treating the relationship like it actually matters and that the person in front of you actually matters and that their well-being actually matters. That their joys and their pains actually matter. So I experience that, so I know it's possible, and I experience it on a very, very consistent basis with more than just 2 or 3 people. So I know that it's possible, and I know that this person and others in my life who have not really been able to do that, I know that they can do it if they do the work. Oh, you're not willing to do the work? Well, yeah, that's a problem. I'm not really interested in being in a relationship with people who are not willing to do the work. I've gone too far in, too deep in, and I have too many relationships on level with people who have done the work, are doing the work, are willing to do the work. That why would I want to include others who literally just take up my time and attention and focus the depth of my love and presence that I have to give from that healed place of true presence, true holding, and true witnessing to be able to be with them in the mess, to be able to be with them in the pain and in the darkness and in the shadow, to then just be like trailed
Mhm.
off, like the guy's just not even on the phone, like he's not even there.
How are you? Good? Good? Okay, good.
Yeah. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks for listening, babe,
Yeah.
and for sharing your reflections. It's, yeah, yeah, if we actually just listen to our bodies and follow our
Mhm.
anger, anger is where a boundary is being broken.
Mhm.
If we the one thing that most people try to repress, especially I would say most Jewish people or observantly Jewish people, is anger.
Mhm.
And it's like what you're basically doing is you're stifling or squelching your actual intuition and your actual body and your actual boundaries, which if you don't have boundaries, you really don't have
Mm.
anything.
Which will
You're
only
lost.
eventually make you angrier and angrier and angrier.
Yeah, well, actually, not necessarily angry and angry and angry because you might continue to repress and repress anger, so it might make you sicker and sicker and
Right.
sicker. Like you're gonna be diseased. Your body's gonna be diseased because that energy goes somewhere. So it's either it's being placed where it deserves to be placed, which is in communication with another person, or even just in communication with
Mhm.
yourself first and foremost to understand what boundary's been broken, and then you can communicate,
Mhm.
in whatever way, a healthy way, a regulated way to another person, or even in an angry, messy way,
Right.
right? But like, it's not necessarily you're being vindictive or hurting them. It's just it's anger. I'm showing you my anger.
Mhm.
This is angering me. You are hurting me. This hurts. Um, but if you don't do that, then it's not. If it's not going out where it belongs, then it's just going in, and you're swallowing it. Literally, you're swallowing it. It's in your
Mhm.
saliva. It's in the words, the vocals that are not being
Mm.
expressed.
And the
You're
tightness.
swallowing it, and it goes into your gut, and it causes disease. Which, as we know, all diseases are stemming from the gut. And the gut is the seat of intuition. The gut is where your body knows whether something feels gross or not, if something feels icky, if something feels like something's not right, if you're being touched in a way that doesn't feel good, your tummy knows.
Mhm.
And touch doesn't mean somebody literally putting their hands on your body or sexually abusing you. It means that they're touching you energetically in a way that doesn't feel right. Your body knows.
It
But
really.
if that knowledge hurts too much, or if there's
Mhm.
such a fear that acknowledging that feeling is going to end in disconnection, which is people's greatest fear,
Being all alone.
then and being all alone, you're going to have to disconnect from that sensation. You're going to have to disconnect from that intuition. You're going to have to disassociate from your body and not feel your feelings so that you could live another day and survive with your tribe by having people who still love you and care for you because you're playing all the notes that
You
they're
have
demanding
friends
you
and
play.
community and family, and you feel so wholesome while also slowly dying inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like, and oftentimes, our gut is so uniquely individual to us, so every person's boundaries are gonna be different. What's okay for someone else is might not be okay for you. But if our minds, if we have an interaction with something and our body's like, "Ooh, I did not like that. That did not feel okay with me," whatever that was, and our brain is like, "Oh, but like everybody does this and everyone's fine with it," and like, or this person like, "Well, it's not really not a big deal," and so we just really not a big deal, little things, one thing at a time, which is like you said, you did this one, well, it's not that big a deal. Like you, it was a big deal, but you were just denying it because you didn't want to be that difficult. Like we don't want to be difficult. Like be that difficult, be that guy who like is, like, bothered by this thing, like, just be a little flexible, be chill, like, "Okay, whatever, so this guy, he's everybody knows he's just a goofy guy," like, and we just have stories why we just deny, like, "No, like, fuck no, like, this does not work for me. I don't care if it works for the however many billion people in the universe, and it works for every single one of them but me, my gut, my unique person, I mean, the reason why Hashem made each person because every person is different than everybody else, or there isn't one single photocopy or replica or exact person like you. So your gut is unique. So if it doesn't work for you, it's like start believing yourself. Start believing your gut. Like get out of your head. It doesn't have to make sense. And just you just know. Everybody knows. You don't want to know, but you know. And it's really, really scary and it's really hard. And it might look like being alone for a bit. And then it will look like being the furthest thing from alone. But it's really like, yeah, I just feel that when you say it, like, I know that's a big part of my story too. Like, oh, it's just not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And just like then having this like fireball of anger. And sometimes it takes like just sometimes I don't listen right away to the anger or the frustration, especially being a mom and this, and then you're balancing so many things and so many people's needs. And you're like, okay, like I'm okay, and I'm doing this, and I have my little outlets, and then then I'll wake up one morning and be like, this isn't working, and like, it's hard, and I've been having this experience this entire last week, but I've also been in my daily prayer, been like, thank you for showing me what's not working. Like, I see it now. Like, I didn't see it. It doesn't feel good to feel like things aren't working, but I'm so glad to be in relationship with my anger. My anger is like, no, Mushky, like, no, this isn't working. And I don't know how it's possible to change what's not working, but I'm just like holding the fact that this is sacred. What this feeling that my boundaries are being crossed, this isn't working. And yeah, so powerful. And also what you were saying about the like checking in, but not really checking in, It's like so many people are like, "Hey, how are you?" But they don't actually wanna hear. It's like they wanna be the guy who says, "How are you?" But they don't wanna be the guy who actually listens to how people are. So it's like, but they're just like, and it's like, and then sometimes you'll even tell them how they are, and they're like, "Oh, okay, okay. See ya." Like it's like they're not really saying, "How are you?" They're saying like, "I say, how are you?" And it's just like better to like not say it unless you really, really want to, whether it's even with your family or your spouse. How was your day? Don't say how was your day. First check in with yourself if you want to hear about how their day was. Don't ask your wife how was your day unless you want to hear how your day. Don't be a nice guy. A nice guy asks my wife, of course, every day I ask her how was your day. That's what a nice guy does. No, stop being a nice guy. Don't ask her how your day was unless you actually fucking want to listen to how her day was. Because otherwise, it's just very confusing and stressful and overwhelming because you're actually opening up something and then you're totally checked out. You're not actually have the spacing container. And it's okay. There's so many times where, especially as I've been going through like deep, deep healing in the past few years, where like, I don't ask you things. I don't ask you. And sometimes it hurts me. And I like even like aware of it. Like, wow, like, come on, like, what kind of wife are you? Like, just check in. He just had this journey. He just had it. Like, why don't you ask him? And I know, I'm like, I don't have capacity to listen right now. I don't have capacity to listen right now to how things are for you. So I'm not going to ask. And even though it's like hurts me to be that person, I just don't have capacity to listen. So I'm not going to ask you how it was. And when I have it or when we share, we're gonna share, but it's not just to check off the box every single day and to be the nice person, to make the phone call, make the Erev Shabbos phone call because he's a nice person does that, where no one's actually saying anything to each other or listening to each other, and we're just, like, floating in this avoidant, nice stratosphere.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that I think you do so well, though, much in the context of what you were just sharing about not having the space but wanting to, like, you presence it. That's huge. You don't just you're not avoidant of it. You don't just let it float and hope I'm, like, not gonna notice it. You express your pain about it, your desire about it. I know that you just had something big, and and I really wanna hear about it, and I'm sure you wanna express about it, but right now, I know that I don't have the capacity. That is huge. That is so huge, and you do it so well, Mushk. Really, you do it so well. You really own your parts so beautifully. And yeah, I really feel that so many women and men, really both, but so many women have so much to learn from you. And I cannot wait till you expose yourself more to the world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually feel so emotional with you saying that. Like, I feel the pain of it because as we're sitting here talking, like, listen to your gut. Like, in my journey of listening to my gut and in my body, I have experienced how much less capacity I have than what I want to have. And it really hurts. Like, I used to pretend I was able to do more. And the more I've been listening to my body, now it could just be in this season, it doesn't mean that's forever, but, like, the more I've been listening to my body, the more my body's been saying, like, "No, Mishki, don't do this. Don't do that. Don't ask this person this. Don't check in on this person." Even though I love my friends, I don't check in on them so much because I feel, like, so overwhelmed and filled with, like, things I need to release and not as much capacity to, like, intake more information, things, conversation, and, like, even with you, and, like, it hurts. It's hard. It's hard to, like, accept where I am. It's hard to accept, like, that I don't have as much capacity to listen to you as I want to. Like, it's hard. I feel like in my throat right now, like, I could just throw up from it, like, and just acknowledgement, like, yeah, first of all, yes, I do that, and it's what you're pointing out is so beautiful. First of all, I receive it, and it's really just feels so I feel so seen, um, and also, like, proud of myself, but also, like, it's such a good example of ways that you can show up without being able to be the full version, right? So many people in a relationship are like, "Well, I can't give it to her, so then what am I gonna do?" But, like, no, you can give something. You can acknowledge and say, "Hey, I wish I had the space to listen to you right now, but I'm feeling so stressed out or so burnt out or so this, so I can't do it, but I wish that I could." That alone is, like, intimacy. That's connection. But most people are like, if I can't do it, then I'm just gonna, like, pretend that it's not there, and hopefully she won't notice that I didn't ask her about her day. But instead, it's like there's so many ways that by being true to yourself, that's really what it comes down to is you cannot show up for another person and for your spouse or for a friend or for anybody without being true to yourself. So oftentimes a spouse will deny themselves for the sake of, like, being, like we said, nice or doing the right thing. But if you're true to yourself, there's still a way to be true to yourself and in the relationship and in connection and not giving the person what they want. And I mean, we've had this. I mean, we can go on and on. And actually, sometimes what will happen is I will say to you, and this is just one example of it. I know you just came off this big journey. I'm conscious that I didn't ask you how it was, and I don't have space for it. Just want to say that, like, I'm conscious of it, and also, like, I just don't have capacity to listen right now. I'll say that, and then, like, 5 minutes later, because I gave that part permission for the full no, all of a sudden I have the space, that's played out in many different things, not just in conversations and many different things, where first I'm like, I need a presence of fact that, like, this is a no for me, and, like, 5 minutes later, I'm like, this is a fuck yes for me right now. Like, so that's why, like, staying in it and bringing yourself, whatever is there now, bringing that into the relationship allows for it to be something else. But when you're denying yourself and you're lying, and that's just like then that's a wall. And there's no it's not gonna move because it was never anything real and to begin with.
Yeah, mama.